So here's a demonstration of our new prototype. This is to help people find peripherals for their computers. And what we've implemented in this prototype now is a much more feature complete version of our initial prototype that also includes, based on feedback, that also includes a little bit broader of a selection of pointing devices and a more integrated approach. So here we have our initial disclaimer in case people were to use the recommendations to actually make decisions. They shouldn't at this point. It's not a complete prototype. We have now transitions and details of how things actually work. Our database is also including multiple different items. Here we have all different kinds of pointing devices that can be chosen or can be recommended. And depending on what you choose, it'll pick a different recommendation. So I'm going to pick, I currently use a trackball. The search isn't implemented right now. So then I'm going to click next. You can now select multiple items among the mobility issues and clear your selection. So I'm going to select that I have arthritis and shaky hands. Given that I chose a trackball, it's not going to ask me my grip type, but we're going to go through and see if with a mouse you can choose your grip type. So typical computer activities, it does matter which ones of these you choose. So if you choose gaming, it'll choose a gaming mouse typically. Okay. In the performance test, you can either take or skip the performance test. It's all fully set up. So here, it's basically just a Fitts law type test. I found that I'm very consistent in terms of how I score, and it lasts a minute. And this test will record your accuracy in terms of how many clicks you used and your number of targets correctly clicked. So we can see that it tells you exactly how many targets you clicked, and in this case I didn't make any misclicks. So then it gives you a recommendation of which thing to select. Depending on what you selected initially, you'll have a different recommendation. So if I reload the page and select some different things, I don't need to do the performance test. It's not actually used in the recommendation engine yet. But if I go through and select a couple of different things, so I say, okay, right now I have a normal mouse. I don't have any of these except shaky hands. I use a palm grip, and I just do gaming. Skip the performance test. That recommends a different type of mouse because it's useful for people with shaky hands. All right, so that's our prototype. Sort of some of the limitations that we're going to work on. Right now, it only has a few different recommendations. Also, looking at some of our feedback, they wanted to add more questions. And while we did add a couple more, we didn't add, questions around left-handedness versus right-handedness. And we also didn't add much about the more aesthetic or other factors with the mouse. We did, however, broaden our approach to include multiple different types of pointing devices, and we used more information from online databases based on the feedback we got. All right, so that's our prototype.